Welcome to On Second Thought. I'm John Price, and I'm here with our pastor, Jay Hackett, where every week we take a deeper dive into life at Peachtree Corners Baptist Church. Whether we're talking about the latest sermon, upcoming events, or just whatever's on Jay's mind, this is your insider look at our church, our staff, and what makes PCBC your church on the corner. So join our conversation as we help you find community, purpose, and growth. Let's get into it. Hello, and welcome to On Second Thought. And we have spent probably 30 or so minutes just warming up for this episode, warming up and waking up. And I just don't know that we're quite there yet, but we're going to do our best.
We're going to give it a shot.
But
regardless,
if nothing else, have a great nap during this time.
It'll be entertaining, I think.
Yes.
When it's all said and done.
We hope you're having a great day. And it has been a great weekend. We're shooting on Tuesday because I was gone yesterday.
Yes. Why were you gone yesterday,
My son,
John?
Boone, graduated from college. He graduated from Mercer down in Macon and with a electrical engineering degree.
Nice.
Yeah. Has a job already lined up at Georgia Power. So he starts in a few weeks. So he has a little bit of time just to kind of relax, chill out. He's very relieved. I'm sure it hadn't totally settled in. I hope he slept most of yesterday after we got done with the ceremonies because it was an early morning. We went up Sunday afternoon, picked up Sydney, went down. April's parents came down, and so it was a good time with family, a good time to celebrate him, his accomplishments in the bustling city of Macon.
In the bustling city of Macon.
Ugh.
That's
not
awesome.
a fan.
And you were telling me. He's
Sorry
the
to all our Macon viewers.
Right, he's the first price to go to college.
Yes.
That is incorrect. But sorry.
No. Well, no. April and I met in seminary. You know, we weren't actually going there. We met at a coffee shop in seminary. No, we've all been fortunate to go that route, and both kids did really well in school, and so they're done with that chapter. Boone may go back and get his master's to specialize in something. He knows what he would love to do, and right now he is in a stable kind of thing, but he's going to have his feelers out for. He explained it. I have no idea what he's talking about, but.
Not.
I mean,
that's all right. That's
totally different. Parents. Yeah, involved math and science and that sort of thing. So
just encourage.
Absolutely.
No, so we had a great weekend. I mean, Mother's Day, outside of Easter and Christmas, it's always the most attended services that we have. And so had close to 600 that were with us on Sunday, and that was very encouraging. Great service. I thought Jacob did a fantastic job of leading us in worship, and just seeing so many new families and families that were there to support for parent dedication.
Right? You doubled down. I mean, we know that Mother's Day is going to bring the biggest crowd. Why don't we just add 13 more children being dedicated
every Sunday
to the mix?
Yes, I think if we did that, or we had our children sing. Like a choir kind of a thing.
Right.
Because every time the kids praise thing happens, all the families show up. And that's the key. It's not that we get a ton of new families, but we get all of the Peachtree Corners family to show up on the same Sunday. Right. And which is always encouraging.
What's that? This is kind of an old-timey thing. What did churches used to do? Homecoming?
Yes.
It's hey, come on back to church.
Yes.
Remember us? So... Yeah,
we actually, the first church I ever served at still does a homecoming. And Amy and I get an invite every year. And so anyone that has ever attended that church through its, 50-year history is always invited back on that Sunday. And, it's just old home week. And it's crazy. I mean, to think about it, it's like, sometimes people are like, we moved on for a reason.
Right. Yeah.
We don't necessarily
they have like
want to come back.
The last 5 pastors from that church.
Yes.
The ones living come and
speak. The ones
speak.
that are living.
Leave out the ones that maybe were scandalous. Yeah. We've taken a turn quickly. Immediately took a turn.
Yes.
But no, it was the sermon was great on the legacy of a mother.
Amen.
I thought that was very good.
Amen. It's one of those things to think about. Our kids are sponges, and sometimes we think, oh, we messed up. Because my kids are gone.
A lot of times we think,
a lot of times we do. But it's just that thought of going, hey, I might not have gotten it right first go around, but I'm still breathing. And so how do I affect that? How do I change that?
Yeah.
And how do I work in my own life on being in the truth, using those moments to teach others, and then prayerfully seeing people come to trust, Christ as Lord and Savior, to put their confidence in Him, to follow out His commands. Several people came up and were like, man, you gave your parents some really nice shout outs throughout the entire sermon.
Yeah.
And I have been blessed. There's no doubt about that.
Right.
Having a mom and dad that loved Jesus and lived it out. But I feel like I may have painted too good of a picture, if that makes sense.
Right. Well, you don't want it to be therapy when you're up there.
Yeah. So
and you have to see them every
I'm going to
Sunday.
focus on all the negative from my parents, and
I will be there.
Yes, no, we'll look at it. And, no, I'm not even preaching Sunday.
I'll come see that. Yeah, it's our next attempt to get in a big crowd.
Yeah, it is.
Jay is going to out his parents.
I am going to share
put them on blast.
They did wrong. Yes,
that'll be a fun one to listen to. Maybe audience participation. Who knows?
I think
Your dad
we should. Yes.
might just get up and have his say. So, no, I think the parent dedication was beautiful.
Yeah.
Man, it was so cool to see 9 families.
13 kids. Yeah. What's been really neat is, for a season we had kind of removed that, kind of out of the worship service because there were so many, and it was like, man, this thing is taking
Right.
20, 25, 30 minutes to be able to walk through all these families, do all these different things. And so
not everybody loves the babies having a meltdown.
No, they definitely do not. And,
it's my thing.
I know it sounds unspiritual, but some people are like, all right, that was 25 minutes of my life I could have had back. But the majority of the church is looking at it going, man, what a special thing to be seeing so many young families who are saying, we want to raise our child in a local church and being connected to this local church to do life together. It's parents that are recognizing we can't do this alone. We really can't. And it does take a village, to use the old adage. And so I want as many voices as possible, right? It's my first responsibility, but I want as many voices as possible that are pointing my child towards Jesus. And that are living out a life of Christ that looks, man, that's good. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it looks like something I want, and I want to be a part of that. And so, seeing those children, seeing those families that are going, hey, man, this is where God's called our family. We're connected here. We want to be a part of it. And so, the parents make their choice to say we agree to these things. And then I love that our congregation stands, and we go, hey, we're a part of this family. And it's their discipleship responsibility, 100% of the parent, but we partner with them and we come alongside of them and go, hey, how can we help? Because, parenting is on the job training. You really don't know what you're getting until you're in the moment. And it's like, man, I blew that one. Or, your kid leaves the room and you and your wife high five and go, man, I feel like we got that one right. And so it's just an encouragement. We've been seeing so many young families that we've had to split them up. Right. So we do the one on Mother's Day every year. And
PCBC, splitting up families.
We've been splitting families for 45 years. Yeah. No, meaning the dedications. Okay. We've had so many families that we've had to add one in November. And so we do one in November, we do one in May. Right. And it's just been neat to kind of see all these young families. And currently 10, 12 of our young families right now are pregnant. And so it's like, what excitement that's happening. There may be something in the water. We don't know. But as we look at this, we're just going, man, we're going to continue to see young families living a life prayerfully that would point their kids to Jesus and do it in a beautiful way.
Yeah. No, when I think of the people that were an influence in my kid's life growing up, and I think of the weekday preschool teacher, Miss Ann O'Neill, that had Sydney and Boone both, but she just retired. And she would always tell us Sydney stories. She'd be like, that girl, she is the most strong-willed, but Miss Ann loved Sydney, and Sydney loved Miss Ann, and she loved Boone. But just growing when they were little, and then when they were in high school, and it makes such a difference to have people coming and pouring into them, and even as a parent, seeing what you don't sometimes see.
Correct.
We were going to a football game one time, and we were signing in for tickets because April was a teacher. We got free tickets, and they were like, "Oh, you're Boone's parents," and we were like, "Yes." And they said, "He is so driven." Now, Sydney had always been driven. We never thought of Boone as being driven because he's so laid back, so quiet.
Yeah.
And we were like, really? Boone Price, he's tall, blonde. Yeah, man, he is so. And so it's cool to have these adults in church and wherever in the community that sometimes tell you about your kids things that you don't see that make you proud.
They do make you proud.
So
and we don't always see the best.
Right.
Sometimes in our own kids, right? I mean,
and a lot of that is because of us. I mean, yes. I know that natural thing is, you reflect on me. If you're not being a good kid, it means I'm not a good parent. It's like, okay, we got to drop our stuff.
Yeah.
They got enough on their shoulders for us to put our stuff on them.
Well, I remember Mary Beth Moody, who led our preschool for 30 years here at Peachtree Corners. She used to always say, your kid has to be on when they're with us. And so when they get home, they feel comfortable to just go, blah, and kind of lay back. And they're like, so we get to see the best version of your kid. So many times you don't get to see that every day. And so you see the good, the bad, but it's just great to know, okay, some of this stuff's sticking and they are becoming the young man, the young woman that, that God really does have in line for them. And you're like, okay, just keep getting voices, because eventually they stop listening to us, for a season. And so it's like, okay, well, I need other people that would say what I would say in this scenario, and then we always joke about the fact that our kids come home and they're like, hey, I've been thinking, and this is what da-da-da-da-da, and, then they leave the room and you and April or me and Amy look at each other and go, have we not been screaming that for the last 2 years? And it's like, they never heard it, but you got to act like, oh my goodness, that's brilliant.
Brilliant.
You need to go do that, and just be an encouragement. But that to me is, what a Sunday like Mother's Day and parent dedication. And it's like, man, that's the kind of community, that's the kind of family I want to be connected to. Yeah. It's someone that is helping and wants the ultimate best for my child and for our family, that's going to be there with us, whether it's a celebrating time, whether it's a mourning time, whether it's, my kid blew it, messed up, and, this could be something that would be a defining factor in their life. And you're going, no, this doesn't define you. This was a moment. This was a blip. This was, you messed up, but guess what? We all do. And so how do we overcome this? And how do we not let this be the thing that defines us for the rest of our middle school or high school or college or, whatever those things are. So it's awesome to me to have a church that does that.
Another great reason that I love that PCBC is multi-generational. Because if it's just, we are aiming towards young families. Because that's who is moving here and when people are in most need of kind of doing the work on themselves and learning spiritual things. A lot of times these folks grew up in the church, but maybe drifted away. They've got kids now, or they're in growing up. They're like, I need community. I need some advice. And so they're returning. So we get to really focus on those, but we don't do it exclusively, because if everybody's that young age, then you don't have the kind of grandmas and grandpas that can come alongside. So no, it's a great thing. Now, and you had mentioned that the impact from children to youth. This Sunday
is graduation.
Graduation,
Sunday.
yeah.
Yes.
Looking at the next chapter.
Which is that, kind of one of those milestones, right? You've got parent dedication, kind of that beginning milestone of we have a child and we want to raise them in the fear and the admonition of the Lord kind of a deal. And then now you're seeing we're sending them off, and it's that, Lord, do they know everything they need to know? Have they, have we done the best that we can do? And the answer is no. I mean, we've done well, and you're like, all right, just make them get this next step. But this Sunday will be a special week because, we have a graduation breakfast for all of our graduates and their families at 8:30 on Sunday morning, and just a special time with them. And they'll show baby pictures and, graduation pictures. And, this year's neat to me because it's the first year I have a senior. And so I'll be crying. I have no doubt about it. And so being able to celebrate Griff and just the accomplishments that she has made, the things that she's done. And then in the service, we will have students that are actually participating in the service. And so like the welcome, or the closing, those will be student-driven, student-led. We're also going to have a student choir that will be, kind of made up of several of our kids that have been connected with Logan and Sarah down on Wednesday nights and, doing some singing, doing some playing. It's been great to watch the two of them and how they've poured into our students and how they continue to grow their gifts. And then Logan will be bringing the word for us this week. There's no greater thing. I remember, in my 7 years here as youth pastor, it was always my Sunday to preach, and I looked forward to the opportunity to not only to share with those seniors, but also just share with our church, of how we could be praying for these students and things that we could do and, to be there for mom and dad because they know it's a difficult transition when one leaves home. Yeah. It's I said it Sunday, but it's that, you spend your whole life training the one you can't live without to be able to live without you.
Right.
And so it's that hard, I don't want to release, I don't want to let go, but yet you still have to, kind of push them out of the nest and just go, please, dear Lord, let them fly,
Yeah, it's interesting how just this contradiction within ourselves is like, our parents don't treat me like I'm a child, but then when we think of our kids, they can be grown and out of the house, and we always think of them. And I was telling my daughter this weekend is, I want to treat you how you want to be treated as an adult, but understand it's just something about being a parent. I will always see you as that little 3-year-old twirling around in the living room. And, the rides I gave you for pre-K, some great experiences, some not so much. But yeah, that's part of it.
That is part of it.
Comes with it.
It's crazy to think about that, because I agree. I still see Griffin, as that 3-year-old girl.
And you'll have those thoughts this Sunday as you're looking at photos and as you
taking pictures,
send her off to college. And we're going to try to make Jay cry right now. So
don't do it. Don't do it. Yeah. But there are some days that you're like, yeah, it's time for you to go, but most of the days you don't want that to happen. And so,
it's great being able to spend a little bit of time with them. We are fortunate that they have their space.
Correct.
Sydney's in Atlanta, Boone is in Macon. He's going to continue to live and work there. But it's close enough to where we can spend some time with them, have a meal, that sort of thing on holidays or just whenever we can make it work. So, and we got the summer coming up.
Summer is coming up quickly. And so, we've made a couple of changes. Typically, our students have gone to camp first week of June, and Logan had tried to get that at the new place that they're headed this year for their summer camp. And unfortunately, that didn't work out, so they had to take a later time in June. So if you have a student They need to be at summer camp this year because it's going to be fabulous. Logan and them are still leading the camp. It's just at a new,
better,
yes,
location,
a better location this year.
Yeah,
and,
very different feel, very different vibe, but it's going to be amazing.
But it will be fantastic. And, and with students, it's like, this is new. And then it's, we do this every year. I mean, it happens very quick in the life of a student. But VBS is the first thing that will kick off our summer. Yeah. Well, technically, we'll kick off our summer on the 25th. We'll have an ice cream truck, some giveaways, some things that are happening. And so Memorial Day weekend, anyone that is in town, in church. Yeah. And so we'll have ice cream trucks and I said that plural, but we will not have plural ice cream trucks. We will have. It
depends. If they run out, we may have to call us out.
I heard we upgraded our ice cream truck this year, and so it's not quite as sketch as it has been.
That's the word I was thinking of. I was like, what is family friendly?
Yeah, there were other choices, but we try to keep this, PG-13.
That can be within 500 feet of a church, school, whatever.
So, we'll kick off that Sunday on the 25th. After the life group hour, we'll have the ice cream truck and we'll hang out for a while and just be ready for what God's going to do this summer. But then VBS comes that second week in June. Still looking for volunteers if anyone is interested. If you happen to be on the wait list with your child, the best way to get them off the wait list is to volunteer. And
That's right. To join something that there is not a wait list for.
Join something there's not a wait list for.
Which is the volunteers.
And then all of a sudden, it's crazy how your child is able to come to VBS. Billy does the same thing in sports. If somebody wants to get their kid in, he goes, you want to coach? Yeah. And if they coach, their kid plays. And so, or their kid at least gets in the league. And so that's, it's a great way to,
chances are if the guy's coaching, the kid is playing.
Yeah. So, VBS is going to be fantastic. And then, we got Central Kid, we've got mission trips, got a group of 15 heading off to Kenya this summer. John and Leah were here Sunday.
Yeah, I got to see them right after the service. I got to say hi and let them know that I was going to get to see them.
Get to be there with them
in Kenya.
Yeah, John berated me a little bit for not coming on the trip this summer, but we're working on a little side deal where he wants to bring me out to talk to some pastors and do some things. And
you'll need somebody to carry your bags.
I will need someone to carry my bags.
Encourage you and tell you, great job.
Thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and put my name in the ring for that. So
I'm sensing that I found that guy already. And so, we'll be looking forward to that. I got to spend about 20 minutes with him
awesome
on Sunday and just hearing his heart, the things that God's doing there through Valley Light and the floods. And so just excited to help. We're actually doing water filters for them through VBS. That's the big push this year, and the missions offering will be going to that. And so just a whole lot of fun stuff. And then you're going to get myself, you, Logan, and Wallace this summer. All of us are working together in our preaching our series.
Oh, yeah. Where is this going?
It's like, where am I going?
What am I doing?
No.
Was this decided yesterday?
But we're actually going to spend some time about cultivating character, and with the word of the year being fruit, it'll be based out of Galatians 5 and talking about each one of those fruit and how
fruit of the Spirit.
Yes, each one of the fruit of the Spirit, and how that plays out in our life in each one of those fruit. And, it's kind of fun because I've always thought, oh my gosh, there's 9 different fruits. No, there's not. There's 9 different elements of one fruit.
Right.
And, and so all of these come together in our lives. And so this summer it'll be fun. If you're in town, you're in church, right? And so, but it's not a series that if you missed a week, you'd be like, I'm lost. I don't really know what's going on. So it all kind of plays in together, but it'll be a fun summer to be able to have just all of our staff, the same vision, the same direction. And so I hope and pray that we'll just grow this summer together and then get prepared to kick off in the fall, because August will be here before we know it.
Well, and we have, for the adult, what we call special interest groups, the Wednesday night classes or the women's Bible studies, typically take a hiatus during the summer. We're going to have one that April, my wife, and Joshua Gordon are going to be teaching as a Zoom call.
Oh, really?
Yeah, on Thursday evening starts the first week in June.
Okay.
And so if you're on vacation, if you're here, you can still attend, still be a part of it. But I'm very excited about that one because it is on something we've been talking about a lot, something I've been learning, April, is just the importance of identity. And what does identity mean for the Christian? Obviously, there's that, well, maybe not obviously for some, but our identity in Christ,
Yep.
but then also our identity in how he has uniquely crafted us individually to live out with those that he's put around us. And so they're going to be leading that discussion. It's going to be a great class, great discussion. And so that will be available very soon, hopefully this week, where you can register for it through the church app or on the website. So we'll also have some information on the link as well this week about that group. So I'm curious to see.
To that, or is there
I don't think so.
Whoever logs on gets to participate.
And so I don't know exactly the format. I think there are possibly some video elements to it,
Nice.
but there will be things that April and Joshua will teach. There will be opportunity for discussion and individual kind of figuring out, okay, how has God crafted me,
Absolutely.
created me? What is my identity?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, that can be a powerful thing.
That's huge.
As I've kind of done some homework on that, just seen some things that God has pointed out that helped me to feel a little more clarified in who I am and how I can show up and what I can provide in a team as, a husband, parent, what have you. So I'm looking forward to that. And of course, it is free. And the workshop.
No, I was saying it's freeing to find your identity and be able to live in that.
Well, and the class is free too.
The class is free as well. So yeah.
So one more reason. And then the craftsmen will be meeting on Wednesday nights and Thursdays as well. So we had in our inaugural thing last Wednesday night, there were 7 of us. We were talking about kind of projects we were going to be doing. And it was a great time, great discussion. So that'll be going on as well. Of course, awesome. Students will be doing stuff during the summer.
Yes. And
children are taking a break.
The calendar is on the Planning Center app.
Yeah.
And so if you have students and want to know what they're doing this summer, some events will be here on campus. Other events will be in other locations around Peachtree Corners and around this Gwinnett County area. But definitely going to be a whole lot of fun for them this summer. And just really cool to connect and be a part of it. I mean, the church is doing great. God is just continuing to bless, and so we're just excited for it and looking forward to still having an impact and seeing how many people we can reach with the gospel.
Awesome. Well, anything else you want to cover?
No, I think that pretty much does it for today.
Okay. So what would be some action steps that we would leave our folks with?
Action steps is to know, number one, that our legacy doesn't happen by chance, happens by choice. So make good decisions, as my daughter always says. Every decision we make always changes that. So on a personal level, make sure you're doing that. Stay connected this summer. Look for those ways that you can continue to serve, whether that's through VBS or through camp with Logan or, connecting through this class that April and Josh are teaching. And Josh, right?
Joshua, yeah.
Yeah, Joshua. Looking for those opportunities that you could stay connected. Sometimes it's so easy to drift when it comes to the summer and things just get crazy and we're traveling and we're doing all these different things. But look for those opportunities to connect. I think those would be my main 2 takeaways.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us in our discussion. And I hope that there were some things that you took away from it, some insider information to find out kind of what goes on behind the scenes, as well as kind of, just our personal lives, what we're dealing with and going through. But we thank you for being a part of PCBC. And we would ask that you like, subscribe, share this podcast with others It's a great way if you're inviting someone to our church to let them get a feel for who we are as a church, who Jay is as a pastor. But we just thank you for all that you do as the body of Christ and as a part of our fellowship. We hope that you have a great rest of your day. God bless. Well, that's it for this episode of On Second Thought. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you enjoyed the conversation, be sure to like, subscribe, and share this with a friend. If you have a question or thought, drop it in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. If you'd like to find out more about your church on the corner, check us out at pcbchurch.org. We'll be back next week with more. So until then, have a great week and God bless.